Cruising Yacht Club of Australia Commodore Howard Piggott, a previous race participant, former member of the race committee and the event spokesperson for this year. A skipper, Mark Richards, who will steer Bob Oakley's magnificent 100-foot Wild Oats 11, which is being prepped to attempt its 6th line on the victory. Tony Ellis will be undertaking his 40th Hobart race with his great mate, that grand old man of ocean racing, Sid Fisher, who does send his apologies today due to a personal situation. He can't join us. But Sid will be aboard another 100-footer Ragamuffin Loyal with Tony, their 40th race together, and as Investec Loyal, of course, last year the Line Honours winner. And the celebrity joining us today, this man needs no introduction. Bob Steele. You notice he's had his hand up very quickly. He's obviously well trained by Mrs. Steele. But he's an old hand at the Sydney Hobart Caper, I've got to say, having last sailed in 2010. Olympic swimming silver medalist, former world champion, and world record holder. Great to have Jeff Bugle on board Ragamuffin Loyal in 2012. Bob Steele, a two-time overall winner of the Rolex Sydney Hobart and returning to the great race after a couple of years off, reinvigorated and hungry for success. And Sebastian Guillaume, team leader for Peugeot Surf Rider. The team will be sailing to raise awareness about ocean racing preservation and will be crewed by 10 Frenchmen. That's going to be very interesting. We're looking forward to hearing from you, Giddy. And also, I believe, an Aussie and a Kiwi, just to keep you all in line, keep those emotions under wraps. But now, can I ask Commodore Howard Piggott to give you a short overview of the race. Over to you, Howard.
Thank you, Gordon. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia and the official launch of the 68th Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. Today's launch marks the start of the countdown for one of Australia's great sporting icons, the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, which is only 29 days away. The fleet currently stands at 80 yachts and offers a great diversity of yachts and crews. For example, Chris Brand's Beneteau First 40, brand new, is 40 foot, 9 months old, and has a crew of 10. Whereas Sean Langman's Maluka of Commandy is 29 foot 6 long, 8 years old, and a crew of 6. The latter being the smallest and the oldest yacht heading south this year.
You've got a crew of 18 this time. You tweaked that figure a little bit in recent years. How have you arrived at that? Is that the optimum now, the right number?
Yeah, look, it's constantly changing things and evolving things on the boat, and we're trying to keep the weight out of the boat. It's one thing that Bob Oakley really pushes hard for, and so 18 is the number. We've got some new faces this year in Stu Valentine, who did the round the world race on camper this year, and Tom Ennis will be co-navigating with Adrian Cahalan. He did the Volvo race on Puma, so we've got some real strong current offshore experience on board this year, which is something I think we lacked last year. And these guys, they see it clear, they know exactly what it's going to do and all that sort of stuff. So we're excited to have those guys on board, and I think it'll be a real attribute.
Let's move along to Tony Ellis, who will be undertaking his 40th Hobart race with Sid Fisher, who, as we mentioned, sent his apologies today. But Tony, in those 40 years, never crossed word with Sid?
That's wishful thinking. We've had plenty of them, actually, but and we are pretty abnormal if we hadn't. But it stays on the boat. We've had plenty of arguments and differences of opinion. But that's racing. And
do you ever win any arguments with Sid?
he wins a few with me.
And what about the decision to go from a TV52 to a 100-footer?
Well,
What's the thinking behind that?
Well, that was the size was a bit out of the blue. I've been trying to talk him into a slightly bigger boat for a couple of years now, because he's 85, 86 next March, and I was really pushing to have a look at Lima, which is recently for sale. There is near sister boat to Loki, but he passed that one up, and then out of the blue he said, "Looks like we're a whole of oil," so that's where it started. But he saw a bit of sense to, I think, body needs a bigger boat.
good. You know, it makes me appreciate what we have. You know, now especially being able to sport as well, it really, I really have time to reflect on the journey that I went through, in particular over the last 4 years. But in saying that as well, if anything, it's more of a drive and a motivator to make sure that you know, everything that I do, you do it to 110%. Whether the businesses you work with or the people you get to associate with, you know, getting to learn from people with experience, like, you know, like Tony and like Sid, and see how they master their success of their careers. You know, like Richo as well, it's good to pick everyone's brain and to get a good understanding of it, and sailing is a great sport to do that.
Let's move on to Bob. And you've had this absence a couple of years and decided to come back. Had you anticipated coming back when you said no?
Well, I actually always had a thought, never say never. And I think the Rolex City to Hobart is like a beautiful woman, it just keeps drawing you back. So here I am.
So did you have to get permission from your wife, from your beautiful woman, to compete this year?
Well, she did ask me the price, and you know, I did give her a quote.
Which was?
Oh, a few dollars. And but she said that's okay, you enjoy it. And if you want a new boat as well, that's okay. Just put the same amount of money in my account, we'll get on with it. That's the standard.
Sounds like a very good arrangement. Sounds like a standard arrangement. But Sydney to Hobart, Tasmania, what a wonderful destination. You've been there so many times. What about the Tasmanian side of things, the attraction there?
Well, years ago I did discover that my father was a Tasmanian, so, you know, I'm right on side. I love the Tasmania. And it's a beautiful state, and we get great hospitality down there. I've been down there, you know, on many occasions, and it's just a wonderful reception that we get down there. And, you know, they've done some amazing things. I do recall that many years ago when I had a small boat, a 33-footer, we were going to Hobart with the Tasmanian Tourist Bureau, walked along the dock with a whole bunch of goodies that would do nothing for a Hobart race, but I didn't have time to throw them off. And we were in Bass Strait, had a big storm, wrapped the kite around the forestay, had to run into shore, didn't have any instruments, didn't know where we were. And the next morning we cut the kite off, and there was a little town on the horizon, and I could see just vaguely a Four Seasons motor inn. So I said to someone, go down and get the kit bag. So they went down there, and fortunately the Tassie Bureau would give us a road map. So Four Seasons motor inns had an ad in there, and then we were in Bicheno, we were saved. We actually knew where we were. So thanks very much to the Tasmanian Tourist Bureau for giving us a road map. Very handy.
What a great story. Well, quite often in the radio sketch, particularly back in the old days, we used to have a lot of boats plotting their position on land, probably further west of the Four Seasons of Bicheno. It does happen.
It happens all the time. I mean, it even happens in races today with the great technology. I see some of my great competitors, you know, Fisher, Ellis, Syndicate, they're always saying that they're 10 miles in front of us, but, you know, they'll be about 500 miles in front of us this year. They're new boats.
And you lured Mike Green back into the crew?
Well, Mike's done his, this will be his 34th, his old dad, when he passed away, done 35, so he has an ambition to stop. Like Mark Taylor did, you know, with Brad and Taylor, so he wants to stop at 35. I think it might be a bit of a hit, but he came to me many years ago and said, I've done all the Hobarts and I'd like to join your crew. And I said, what have you done? He said, I've come second 5 times. I said, well, that's a big task, mate. Why should I take you on and come second again? But so I did. I bit the bullet, and fortunately, together we've won 2 Hobarts on handicap. So it's been a great thing, and we're also into the environment this year, and it's very interesting. So I don't know how you can actually do it, but the campaign's called Green Steel. So who knows how that's going to work out.
Well, you were sitting in this seat, if I am correct, if my memory serves me, in 2008. Do you remember what you said?
We had some luminaries just like we do today, and Ian Kiernan was there, and they were talking quite naturally about, you know, how we could clean up Hobart, how we could clean up Tasmania, and they said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, the only thing I could probably do is, you know, clean up the Hobart. So we fortunately won that year. So the prediction came true.
Any prediction this time?
Absolutely. Number one.
Cleaning up again. You heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
On that note, we might move to Sebastian Dio, the team leader for Peugeot Surf Rider. The team will be sailing to raise awareness about ocean preservation and will be crewed by 10 Frenchmen. Tell us about your decision to compete in the City of Hobart. Was it one moment, or was it something that evolved over time?
It's something that was deeply thought actually. In September 2011, we tried to find a crew for the Hobart, some of us, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So we went on the head watching this fantastic race. And you know, although all of us living in Sydney, in France, Sydney Hobart is one of the most legendary races, and every single French sailor would like to do that. So naturally we say we want to do the Hobart, and as well we want to sail on clean ocean. That's why we partner with the surf rider to promote ocean protection.
So 10 Frenchmen and some Aussies and New Zealand component as well. If things get a bit heated, do you swear in French or English?
So pardon me, but I would say that I would swear in French. Sacré bleu! So actually the beauty of this project is not only that we have 10 French plus 2, one Aussie and one New Zealander, but it's also that we are able to communicate in English on board. And believe me, as a French speaker, it's not always easy, but I think we do well. Plus we define some common goals to do well, sail properly, sail safely, and arrive in Hobart in good condition. So cultural difference, language difference, but overall the same passion for sailing.
With the weather conditions, if they fall in our favour, we'll do pretty well. We were aspiring to be right up there in the right conditions.
What do you think about Sid going in?
Well, that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sid did have a big maxi many years ago.
Yeah.
So he's well used to those types of things, but he hasn't done it for quite a number of years now with his TPs and things.
Yeah.
But, Sid deserves a bigger boat. You know, the 52-footers are really... they're a real challenge for older people. You've got to hang on real tight.